Hello, this is Everett Pierce, and it is January the 7th, 2017. Now, I have said in my other video that my level of warfare is on a level 11. Basically, anything over 10, it's like you realize other manners or methods to do the easier way. That is more about life than it is about death. Now, I want to point some things out to you that will be very profound. But if anything, if anyone's watching my video, it will give you a slap in the face of reality. Okay, so as a parable, would it say a what if? Okay, would it say, you declare war against me. I'm about self-preservation. Now, how is this in relation to fire drills? Now, as we know that we practice fire drills to preparedness, communications. And they'll say, okay, in a single file, march out. Well, in a fire, that might be that might be the best thing to do. But in a gunman situation, and you declare war against me, and I'm just one sniper, you have to maximize your casualties, especially if you're outnumbered by 100 to 1. Okay, now let me show you this clip, and after I show you this, it should put shivers through your whole body as to how one person like me could take down thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people, just by being on a higher level of evolution and knowing all the different levels of warfare. Okay, let me show you the clip.
Thousands of passengers when the shooting happened stampeded through the jetways out onto the tarmac. Eventually, many of them...
Okay, I'm going to back it up just a little bit.
To carry out such a horrific attack. Thousands of passengers when the shooting...
Watch the path in which the people, you have a stampede. Because, number one, in terms of communications, me being a sniper tells me they are inexperienced. Okay, because as an AK-47 or a high-power rifle, if you go in a line, you're lined up, synced up, my bullet can go through several people. I mean, I can kill several people in a row. Okay, watch these people, the way they unfold to this situation of a lone wolf gunman.
Through the jetways out onto the tarmac. Eventually, many of them, hundreds of them, went a full half mile all the way to the furthest point.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Now, as a sniper, now if you see these people here, it's better than what's over here. They're stagnated. Okay, we can learn a lot of things. This is in Florida. One of the things they say, if you come across a gator or a crocodile, you zigzag, because they can't outmaneuver that. Okay, so but you can see where they start to form a line, but it's still discombobulation. So in event of under fire, you want to put the element of discombobulation. So with this people up here, tells me they are inexperienced. So if I'm on this side, all I have to do is a couple bullets. I can take a lot of lives out as a sniper. And then, of course, when you do that, that will act like a 7-pound foot. And then the rest of people will start panicking. And as we know with people, when they panic, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Then I use other skill sets to take more people out. Now, I'm just saying this as a parable, as someone who is on the level of warfare and knows it very well. No one's on the level of 11. But I'm just saying for future references, now this, as far as I can see, this is not a terrorist attack, but it's still something that is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I lived in Florida, and I put over 60,000 miles on my car. And I've been to a lot of areas in Florida, so I know Florida quite well, and I know the human behavior quite well, as we hold these truths to be self-evident. Anyone, especially our military, and you're a sniper, if you're lined up and they're lined up, you know, how many people use high velocity rifle and say, well, it's not real powerful, but it has long distance. So like a 22, for example, okay, it puts a little hole in you. But if you put some velocity to it, it'll go through every single one of them. And now if it doesn't kill them, now they're wounded. And that will further, especially if they're inexperienced, they will further bring about panic or doing things the incorrect way. But if I have a high power rifle here, is I can kill them and say, okay, I got 50 people down. Now I have to focus on these people. Is maximizing the tragedy, because you have to consider that. Okay, and the reason for that. Okay, well, we got China. There are 1.5 billion people. Okay, not saying that China is going to attack us or anything like that. But if they were to come in the masses, you have to be able and be skilled to kill people in the masses. So, you know, how people think. They're not thinking correctly, so you have to be a one-man military. Now, if your military thinks and been trained on that level, and you got 1 million Marines, Army, Air Force, and they are thinking on higher levels of warfare, it's like putting you're Mike Tyson, and you bring in a 6-year-old into the ring. It'll be no contest. Okay, so that's why I'm bringing these out. And if anything, for any gunman or any other events that happens, if you're in a crisis situation like that, zigzag. And this is Florida, which is a perfect thing in terms of gators. If you don't know anything about gators, now, had they been all zigzagging, just randomly, now me as a sniper, then now I have to use my skill sets of being able to go, pew, 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 pew. Well, that slows me down. That acts like a bottleneck. Okay, now, they are running. I know my environment. I know that once they get over here, they're going to bottleneck because of the opening that will release them. So even though I didn't get everyone out, then I reposition myself to get back to the bottleneck. Okay, so as they come all here and they all condense down, it's like a 4-lane highway coming down to a 2-lane highway. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to be focused on you now. I'll wait till you get over to the 2-lane highway. And then you guys have to line up. And then this one bullet will take 100 at a time. Bang, bang. And it ends up being a bloodbath. Now, if you're about self-preservation, about life, these are the skill sets that you have to have. Now, if you're not using it for warfare, you want for self-preservation. So the person that's fighting against you, you know, and why we have fire drills is people, if you're under fire, especially a lone wolf, you have to zigzag. You have to put the element of discombobulation in there because you increase the probability of him being less accurate. And if nothing else, you know, like I said with the bottleneck, he can only take and kill one person at a time. But when he can condense it and you line up, now he can kill 100 people at a time, 1,000 people at a time. So if this whole tarmac was full and it's tight, and it's like that, even though it's not a straight line, all I have to do is spray it, you know, like a machine gun. And I would just start mowing it down like the concept symbolism of a lawnmower. So from now on, we hold these truths to be self-evident. If you find yourself in a crisis situation and they say, get down, yes, that's a good get down. The lower you are, or turn sideways. Because if you're this way, you give a wider angle for the person trying to shoot you. But if you turn sideways, that's why you see some movies with where they turn sideways. They give you less of an area to shoot at. That means it forces you to have high skills. Now, with the people in my army on the seventh heaven, snipers, they don't have to see you to take you out. They use other tools and energy. Is if you're up in a tree and you're camouflage, my snipers will know you're there. They don't have to see you. They will generally point it in the area, and within 3 shots, they have got you. Okay, so, because in this evolution of the sixth heaven, people rely on what they see. Well, we are relying on what we see. And what is the pros and cons to this? Is the communication to this. A lot of inexperienced people. People panic. And that's what contributed to Hillary losing the presidential race. Is they created, there's three of the examples, facts that contribute to that I can't mention. But essentially, the Democratic Party created a stampede. Now, if this is a Democratic Party, and I'm a sniper, and I'm Republican, or actually I'm more of a third element, Trinity, that means I can pluck you out so easy. I'll be back home by noon eating my lunch and watching Fox News. Okay, so that's why a lot of things that the facts and things that are presented in front of us. And this shooter ends up going to Alaska saying, hey, I got these voices in my head. He took the element of responsibility, and because they didn't know how to treat it. And they treated him like he was a malfunction in his head. And so when you strip someone of their hope and faith, then they get in a fuck it attitude, and they also start thinking, okay, maybe this is a freaking dream. This is not reality. And so if you're not reality, then I can shoot you because it doesn't matter. So there are many things at play here. So when anyone shows an element of responsibility, you come to my office. It kind of takes a different tone when you put all collective information. It paints a picture like a puzzle. And like I just illustrated here. Okay, so we'll end it right here. This is Everett Pierce, January the 7th, 2017. 13 days, Mr. President Trump will be in office along with Pence and his cabinet. So when I say I'm on multiple levels of evolution, and especially warfare, is I take life seriously. I want extinction is our true enemy, and you have to know your enemy. You have to prepare, and you have to practice it. Because when you panic, you have to put it in the mode of reflex mode. Is you just know how to perform. So, you say, oh, gunman. Okay, if you can't get down, zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. And being in Florida with a lot of the gators and crocodiles, all you have to do is go down there and there's an alligator alley, out an alligator farm. Because these are the characteristics that we have established with certain animals. Animals is symbolism, or like little pieces to the tool, or tools, if nothing else, evolutionary tools. So we'll end it right there. This is Everett Pierce on his 7th day of January 2017, and it's 22 minutes after 12. With that, I appreciate your time and Godspeed.